This week on Deep Space Pride, a gay Star Trek podcast, we talk about this week's episode of Strange New Worlds, Children of the Comet. We also give some quick random life updates. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Johnson, how's it going?
It is okay. How are you doing this Saturday evening?
Yes. When
late.
do we ever? We've never recorded on a Saturday evening ever, I don't think.
Yeah.
I am doing good. It's been a busy Saturday, but a good Saturday. How about yours?
Today's been fine. Yeah, it's been fine. I went to see my mom for a couple of days. Well, I went Thursday, Friday, and I came back today. And then
How's mom doing?
Still alive, doing all right. Yeah. It was just good to see her. I was able to see her last weekend for Mother's Day, so I took the opportunity to see her the last couple of days before I leave for California tomorrow for work. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But yeah, no, she's doing well. She's doing okay. Still alive, still kicking for now. So we'll see.
That's the goal. That is the goal.
Were you able to?
Well, good to
Did you do anything for your mom on Mother's Day?
No, not really. I mean, it's not.
You call her?
Yeah, it's I sent her a text. We
text.
Okay.
We
don't really.
Not even a phone
often.
call. Wow.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm a bad son. I don't know.
I'm a good son.
Yeah. Yes, you are a good son for going to visit your mom once a quarter or something like that.
I'm trying to see her like once every 2 months now. So
okay, well, that's good.
Yeah,
that is
something.
That's a good son. Yes. Now, I would say that my mom and I aren't that close. We're fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Also, my family never really grew up like celebrating a lot of holidays. I mean, birthdays were sort of a thing, and then Christmas was the other thing, and that was about it.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
So
yeah, my parents aren't too into holidays either.
Yeah. So yeah, and we most if not all of our birthday celebrations were just family celebrations. They weren't anything, extraordinary or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I texted her. She and it's hard on a Sunday because she's either in the car going to church or it's her church day, and that I don't know her whole schedule. I mean, I guess I could have called her Sunday night. You're right. I'm a bad son. But anyway, yes.
Bad son.
Bad son.
Whatever. I mean, I called my mom and I let her ramble on for 30, 40 minutes. I was like, all right, see ya. So whatever.
Yes. Yes. And your mom has did your mom have any new conspiracy theories to share with us?
Oh, no, she didn't have any conspiracy. She talks about Russia a lot. But it's really just regurgitating the news that I already know. Nothing crazy. So fortunately, nothing crazy when it comes to any conspiracy theories or anything like that. So I don't think it's not as bad as your mom, to be honest. Like your mom, I feel
your mom has different conspiracy theories than my mom. I mean, my mom has conspiracy theories like QAnon and all that kind of stuff. But
my mom has other kind of conspiracy theories. But it feels like it comes in waves. Like sometimes it's like, all right, but I don't know how like necessarily like I would say harmful her conspiracy theories are. Sometimes it's more like an eye roll.
Yeah, your moms are kind of very interesting, funny, more funny.
Like she'll like I think she thinks that there's a government cover up of like aliens and stuff like that. Like that's like one of,
Yes, yes, yes. That
and
I
it's
love
like,
that. I
all right,
love
sure.
that.
I'm like, I can either prove or disprove that, and that doesn't really harm anyone. So you know what? Do what you will. It's fine. You know,
Yes.
it's almost like
Yes.
harmless because it's just like
Yeah.
whatever.
I wish my mom's conspiracy theories were harmless, but no, they are not.
Yeah.
But
So yeah. But anyway,
yeah.
yeah, I got to spend a couple days with her, and then I am leaving for California tomorrow, which is
Your favorite place
fun.
in the
My
world.
favorite place. Yeah, it's gonna be exhausting, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
How was your week? Otherwise, you went to Fire Island.
Yes. To Ocean Bay Park on Fire Island for a few days. They went by fast.
We
It was
weren't there for
only
that
technically it was only
long.
no, we weren't. We were there for 3 nights and 2.5 days, if that makes sense. Um, no, it's pretty dead. It was quiet. I mean, Hamish got to play on the beach for the first time ever. That was
Mm,
fun.
mhm.
Um, yeah, it was nice to hear waves crashing and wind and birds versus the honking horns and the sirens of New York City.
Do you even
So,
hear that many honky horns in
oh my
your
gosh, yes.
apartment? You do?
Oh, yes.
Even like in the
Uh,
back where you are right now?
not as many way back here, but yes, if you're in any part of you know, any part of the other rest of the apartment,
Mm.
it's yeah, and it's been particularly bad today because Ninth Avenue was closed for street festival.
Oh.
So there was that, and then this afternoon or this evening, I forget what was I doing. Oh, I was watching Picard in preparation for getting ready for Discovering Trek, and Dennis took Hamish out and came back, and all these horns were honking on the street, like
Oh.
all over the place. Like there was a whole kerfuffle out on the street because someone was parked in the middle of the street and didn't move.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so there was incessant honking, and then people were getting out of their cars. I mean, it was crazy. So
Oh.
yeah, so Fire Island was nice because there was none of that. There weren't
Right.
very many people, and it was just quiet and peaceful. I do realize though, so we drove to see Dennis's cousins today, but in doing all of that, I just realized that I was really kind of like tired and run down a little bit, like
Mm-hmm.
um and like usually a getaway like that is supposed to be rejuvenating, which it was to some extent. I mean, I was fairly productive this week and got quite a bit done ahead of time, which was nice. But it's not the same as, he was on vacation, like he was clearly off. I was working remotely.
Right.
There is a difference.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, um, so it's not quite as rejuvenating for me, but it is refreshing. It is a little bit
Sure.
refreshing, but then, today I was feeling a little bit more like, I don't know, tired-ish and just generally run down. But it was still, yeah, it was still a good day. I mean, it was still a good time out on Fire Island. We cooked and we grilled and all of that, and then yeah, we took Hamish to the beach and just, yeah, it was just fun. It was just
And
relaxing.
the dog tried to eat the sand.
Hamish ate sand and then later pooped sand, which was
That's
exciting.
disgusting. Oh my God. Oh
Um,
my God. Oh my God. Did he
uh,
learn that it's not
and
food?
I mean, he's a dog. He puts everything in his mouth. I mean, quite literally, anything on the street is fair game. So why wouldn't sand? Um, yeah. So no, and then salt water. So he came back super thirsty, I think, but he had a great time. It was great. Um, so yeah, it was, yeah, it was a good getaway. It was like I said, only 3 nights and really two
Yeah.
full days, and then we left Thursday morning to come back,
Mm-hmm.
and we got there late Monday afternoon. So So yeah, but yeah, that's sort of my week. I'm pleased with with the stuff I got done at work, so that's good.
Less feelings of violence towards coworkers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of violence feelings towards coworkers. It's just, yeah, there are moments. I mean,
There are moments.
I did have to send one less than pleasant email because someone sent me something that was due 2 days beforehand,
Uh,
and I was like,
strongly
okay.
worded letter.
It was, I forget what I said. I basically said, I'll try to include this. It was due on Tuesday though.
So you were a
eh,
little salty.
I was a little salty, yes.
Yeah.
Because this person thought that it was, it was just 1 day overdue, and I was like, no, it
Well,
really
people should know
wasn't.
when they're
Like,
wrong. It's true. Yeah, no, it's true. People should know when they're wrong, you know?
yeah. So I mean, so I was kind of annoyed because I needed to include it or wanted to include it, but I was also like, the deadline was 2 days ago. I'd already finished that draft of stuff, and so yes, but I did acquiesce and put it in there because it's important. But
Look at you being so flexible and
I
accommodating.
know, but I was not happy about it at all. I was
Yeah,
not happy.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, that was really the only exciting thing about work. I mean, my boss was out with COVID this week, so
Oh,
that
I didn't know that, I think. I don't think you mentioned that.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, she had COVID this week,
Oh,
so
unfortunate.
yeah. So if I'm
Everyone's gotten
left with
COVID.
her,
How have you not gotten COVID?
I still don't know. I mean,
Everyone, literally, it's like everyone.
yeah, I know. I still remain COVID free,
Telling
so
you, you're missing out.
yes. No, no, no. I don't really think I'm missing anything. I don't, and to be fair, like my allergies are killer right now.
Oh, really? Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. So, although you know what I did, so I did come back from, so we did come back Thursday, and Thursday night into Friday morning, I got a slight sore throat, and I was like, this is it. Like, anything new, any new feeling you get, you think it's COVID, and
It's
nope.
probably like post-nasal drip from allergies or something.
Yeah. No, it was because we had such fresh air, ocean air out there, like
Yeah.
everything, and you get back into the city, and like the dirt of the city, the air quality is lower,
Mm.
the trees are in full bloom right
Yeah,
now.
everything's coming
Everything,
alive. It's like, oh my God.
yes.
That's like a hard
So
show.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah. So that's that. And you know what yeah. Yeah, that's that. That's pretty much it.
Cool.
So yeah. So yes. That's really all
Cool.
that's going on here.
Yeah.
And not a lot of news this week or anything. Although I guess I just heard or did hear that Orla Brady is going to be in season 3 of Picard, which I'm
Oh yeah,
excited
I
about.
heard this too, but I feel it's like unconfirmed. So until I feel we hear something more definitive, I feel it's like the rumor mill. I don't know.
No, I thought I heard that Terry Metalis confirmed it.
Oh,
That
okay.
she is a part of the 3rd season.
Oh,
It
you know
didn't
what?
say
You're right. You're
for
right. Yeah, you are right. Turim House to confirm
um
that this was the case, but he left it very vague.
yes,
Yes.
yes, as a showrunner would normally do. Like that's
Yes.
not that surprising.
I'm still
So
shipping.
I just found that out a little while ago, so I'm super excited
Yeah,
about
I'm
that.
still
So
shipping Beverly and Picard. So as you know.
yes, which I'm fine with. Yeah, so we'll just kind of see what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
I still think we're gonna
Though
get that.
hey, Beverly might be unavailable. It's been like 20 years. So
She
it's
might,
gonna
yeah, exactly. So
it's not
it's
like she
hard
was
to
waiting
know.
around on her chateau, like
Yes,
Picard was. So
Yep.
he wasn't like in a stasis chamber for like 20 years waiting for Jean-Luc to change his mind.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So we'll
So
see
there's that.
if
So
they
that was nice
ever
to
moved
hear.
on.
And then the other thing I forgot I did see is that did you see the season two, quote unquote season two, or the next wave of Star Trek: The Next Generation figures, action figures?
I think
Did
I
you see that?
saw Gates McFadden post about it. Like because I follow her on Twitter, and she was like, I look like Thor because it's like very blocky or something.
Yeah, I'm looking at her thing right now, and I'm like, yeah, that is it is
It
a
doesn't.
little
It's not.
odd.
It's not appealing to her figure. Like it's. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, that's true. Now that I see that,
It
yeah,
just looks very blocky.
I mean, even Deanna looks a little blocky, but at least she doesn't have the coat. So the way that they built the coat into, yeah, the doctor's coat. But so yeah, six new figures.
Um,
You know, here's my feeling
is it from
on
like
action.
Playmates? What is it from?
They're called Super Seven. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Um, so I
I have
don't
no
know,
idea.
but yeah, they're Super Seven is all I really see.
Um,
Um, but so we've got season two, Will Riker. We've got Deanna Troy, which I guess is in her purple uniform. We've got Armis, which I think is
oh wait,
hilarious. Beverly Crusher, Geordi, and Q. Q in his like robes, his like
his
judge role
judge.
robes. Yeah, judge outfit. So um but my general feeling about, this is something that Star Trek really missed out on because, and again, like I said, the way that Star Trek is marketed is just, there are like 17 different versions of action figures for Star Wars fans, and it like takes an act of God almost to get action figures for Star Trek. And it continues to blow my mind, like the marketing, the way that Paramount does their marketing for Star Trek.
Well, I mean, I
Just
wonder if there's really the demand for it as well. Because Star
fair.
Trek is not Star Wars is definitely much more of an action adventure kind of deal where the action figures kind of make sense versus are you gonna Star Trek figures, it's not like there's no action, but it's like I would sit them around a table and they can talk about diplomacy all day. Like it's like you're
Yeah.
like,
All
what,
right, fair point.
yeah, I
Yeah,
feel there's a
that is
different kind
true.
of demand. I feel that if there was a demand, it's like, the market. If there's
I
demand
mean,
for it, someone will feel that
yes.
demand. But I'm not sure a lot of people, other than like really hardcore collectors, are really clamoring for Star Trek figures, to be totally honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, so there are some Prodigy figures coming out, which I think is kind of where it needs to
That kind of
start,
makes
right? It needs
sense
to
for the
start. Yeah, it
audience.
needs to
Yeah.
start there. But if Star Trek had all along been doing action figures and created play sets and like done some of that, I think there would be more of a demand per se for these. But they never did. So
Yes. No, I mean there were action figures.
20,
I mean, like we see a lot
what
of
is
like.
it?
I mean, I never collected Star Trek action figures, but when we go to the conventions, there's definitely a lot of like these old school action figures.
Yeah, there are for sure. Yeah. I just think it's again kind of a lost opportunity, I feel like, um, with with you know with marketing. And yes, you're right. It is a different kind of adventure, but I still think that, as a
Yeah.
young kid, if I were watching Next Generation, back when I was 14, I probably, if there were like, I mean, I did have a couple of the action figures, but it wasn't so prevalent that you could just, go anywhere and like you can with
Right. I don't
back
know.
then and even now with Star Wars figures. But
Yeah. I don't know.
anyway,
I do think there's a demand element, but we'll see.
fair enough.
We'll
Yeah,
see. We'll see how
you
these
make a
do.
good point. You make a good point, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's really all the news this week.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
don't
there's
really.
much in the way of news other than what you mentioned.
Yeah. So,
So, all right. Well, I guess we can get into this week's episode, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about.
no, yeah, let's talk about Children of the Comet,
All
right?
right. Yes, let's get into Strange New World, season one, episode two, Children of the Comet.
Well, you are achieving your stated objective of studying alien languages.
Like you said, I'm not even supposed to be here.
That's not precisely
You
why.
all should be relying on someone who's prepared. Someone actually Starfleet, not someone who's gonna get us all fried to a crisp.
As this is your first away mission, may I assume it is also the first time your life has been in danger?
Yes. Kind of. No, just yes.
Confrontations with our mortality often cause us to see ourselves as if from the outside. Such perspective can be a unique opportunity. You did not intend on being here, but you are here. Hypotheticals are irrelevant. Today, you are quite simply the only person for the job. Will you rise to see it through?
That one was better. Your pep talk, I mean.
All right, Mike. So I think that what we can do is we can start with broad overall takeaways of this episode. I did get to watch this episode twice. I watched the screener that we got, and then I watched it again yesterday because I needed a refresher. So it is more or less fresh in my mind. What did you think about this episode?
This is a good follow up to the premiere. It's probably not as strong in some ways as the premiere was. But I do like the crew dinner and kind of the focus around Cadet Uhura. A little bit of hazing.
I know. That was funny,
Which,
actually.
yeah, it was. And then the interesting moments. I think there's a lot going on in this episode, right? We have the dinner. We're kind of seeing life through Cadet Uhura's eyes.
The dinner was just like, again, Pike's quarters are ridiculous. He has
Yes,
a
yeah.
kitchen. He has this massive dining table that
Yep.
he can host like 10 people. It's outrageous.
Yeah, I love that he does host dinners. I think that's a cool aspect of,
Ben Sisko did, if you remember. Ben Sisko, he would he would kind of cook up some soul food or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But his quarters are very tight. Like whenever he hosted dinner in his quarters, I don't know if you remember, but it was like very, very cramped versus this. It's just
Yeah. And I like that there was different, there were some, all different ranks and everything, although Una, Spock, and Pike were there, but Melissa
there were a couple of
Navio
randos.
yeah, there were a couple of random people there, which I thought was really cool. Hemmer was there. So we get introduced to the new chief engineer who beamed on board at the end of the last episode.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of interesting. He comes off really gruffy and like rough around the edges, and I'm like, how did you I'm thinking, how did you make it through the academy? Like, I mean, you lack personality.
Well, he's a good engineer. So.
Yeah, he's a brilliant engineer, I guess. But yeah, I thought the focus on Cadet Uhura was an interesting take for a second episode. We've got all of these. We episode 1 focuses on the captain, episode 2 on the cadet. I mean, it was just,
interesting, but there was still the background. The beginning and the end was still kind of sandwiched a little bit. If you kind of recall, with Pike still kind of grappling with his fate, and that was the theme of this episode.
Yeah, so that's that's still in play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because nice. This time Una kind of chats with him about it, right?
Right.
So there is that through line. Cadet Uhura's first away mission, which is interesting. Sam Kirk being a part of this, which is also interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just so I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the premiere, although on second viewing I did enjoy it more, I think.
Oh yeah,
So I
when
did
you
watch.
watched it the first time, do you recall you did say that there were some editing or cutting choices that
Yes, and they did. Yes, it's still there. So thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So my one complaint about this episode is that the cutting of when they beam the away team back from the
Mhm.
comet,
Mhm.
and what happens is they think they got away with it. They would have gotten away with it if we were talking about terrestrial TV where there was a commercial break, but it's
Mm.
literally there's no for my subscription or the screener, right? There is no break. There's like a fade to black, and then you come back, and it's maybe a minute later, but the team has beamed up, and suddenly they're at all their positions on the bridge, and literally nothing has really changed. Like the plot has moved forward like 30 seconds. So you didn't, it just did
Mhm.
not sit right with me. That was the only thing that was noticeably like bad in my opinion. Was just that piece of editing, and it just didn't make sense. So I don't know if that was a writing issue or an editing issue or both.
There were like a couple moments like that for me as well. Overall, I enjoyed this episode. There were a couple moments where, like for example, when Uhura kind of is like, "Oh, let me try something" to kind of get the comet to lower the shields, and then she's
Oh
pumps
yeah.
something, and then the comet lowers the shields. But I feel there's a scene missing as to what she figured out because I I don't know how there was no
Oh, I don't.
explanation as to what she figured out that would allow her to sing the right notes to tell the comic, "Hey, can you lower your shields?" Like, and then
Right,
there was
right,
no
right.
explanation. I feel
Yeah,
there was a short explainer that was missing or
yeah.
edited out because it was kind of like a little bit random.
Thank you.
Um,
And that made me think of another scene where suddenly Spock is on the shuttle. And like, when did they talk about that? Did I miss that? Did I miss
well, they
that
purposely
twice?
left that like as a mystery. They were like, "We're ready," when we have one shot at this, and then it just happened. I just that was a little bit. It was a little bit odd to me that the shepherds wouldn't have noticed that Spock was doing his thing. Like,
Or did the shuttle get off the ship? I mean, like, how did
yeah,
the
I
shuttle get off the ship without anyone notice? That was sort of, yeah. So,
there are tiny things like that
yeah, there
but
were.
it didn't really overall affect the episode for me. It was kind of like oh, like there was this missing little thing, or there was even this one shot where it was kind of I was confused because it was when the Enterprise they they were basically hiding on the comet, not hiding, but they were like they turned off the power and they kind of pretended that they were crippled, and they were telling the shepherds, "Oh, we need you to tow us out of
Rescue
here,"
us.
kind
Yeah,
of as
right,
a
right.
diversion, so that I guess they wouldn't notice Spock. I guess, but then on the view screen, there's a shot of the comet in the distance. I don't.
Oh, yeah, yes,
I was
yep,
like,
yep,
wait, where are they again? I thought they were like on
yeah,
the comet, and then it looks like they were like far from the comet.
yeah,
So I
yep,
was like, no, because I was already trying to orient, like, where are they? And then
yeah.
it was confusing. And then I was like,
Hmm.
was that like a shot from like Spock's perspective that they were
Mm,
just putting onto the view screen? It was just like, it was like a little random. Like I was like trying to figure out like what was happening.
yep.
So there are minor, I mean, like minor things like that from an audience orientation perspective, I was like trying to figure things out.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
mean,
minor.
yeah, yeah, minor things, yeah, like more annoyances than, like than notes that say that this sucks or this isn't.
No, it doesn't suck. Like I said, I enjoyed the episode overall. I did think that it was interesting to what you said that this was this was a focus on Ahura, but I think that's a great thing about the series. We're going to get a glimpse of
Yeah.
his
I was just
character.
surprised that we jumped right to Uhura. I mean, I guess we're trying to. It's probably intentional to get people who love the original series to kind of get
Yeah.
into this. So that
Mhm.
maybe from a planning that makes sense. But I really want to know more about Ortegas. And um
Mhm. She's great.
we get a little bit of her here, in this episode. Well, we get a lot of her in this episode. Her flying, and then her kind of joking with her like prank on Uhura, but then her flying and doing all these maneuvers, which is great because she really plays into it and enjoys it. So, I think that the scenes with her in it are some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Um, I was less interested in the whole Comet piece than I was what was kind of going on between the shepherds and the Enterprise. And um yeah, I also like the fact that we get these big ass ships that
Mhm.
are enormous compared to the Enterprise, so you kind of get a perspective of, oh man, this
Oh,
is
speaking
a
of, they were about to not they were about to like phase out of the comet, and then they get shot at. It's like, who shot us? And it was like this massive ship. Like, I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait, like they didn't notice that this massive ship was coming at them.
Just coming, yeah, it
That
came out of
was
nowhere. Yeah,
yeah,
that I thought that was pretty fun. Yeah, that was funny too.
yeah.
Funny and also odd. Yeah,
Right. I mean,
it's just
I think that plays into like there was just some odd plotting or
yeah,
contextualization. I don't even know what to like describe it. Like it's just like the setting
uh,
sometimes is a little confusing.
yeah. But I
Or
mean, it did a great job of highlighting Uhura's skills and also her lack of certainty about being in Starfleet. We also get
yes,
some
I
we
like
get
that.
some
It
backstory.
was
Their
kind of awkward.
parents.
It was like she was like, I don't know Starfleet's for me. And I was like, wow. Like it's just like
But then we get the
there.
context because her
Oh,
parents died and her
for
brother
sure.
died.
Yeah.
So that's something I was really, I'm sad, very, Pike immediately expresses empathy for
Right.
her, and which I thought was great. But he, to have that kind of backstory on Uhura is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I also like that because she was direct and honest, which she does say is kind of, she's a little awkward. She admits that when it comes to conversation, she can be a little awkward. But I kind of liked how she was honest about that because literally that is if you were to go to a work function and you were to say, I don't know if working here is for me, like that's basically what you're saying.
yeah,
Um,
that's true. Yeah,
it's a
right.
little like awkward, it's like, oh, thanks for being honest. We hope you enjoy your time here, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but
But she did, to
yeah,
be fair, she did mention that up front that she does have that kind of verbal diarrhea
exactly,
in social settings. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a great yeah, and just to talk about Sam Kirk for a second, like what, like not very smart if he walks up and touches something that's
oh yeah,
alien
so
without
annoying. I was like, what
yeah,
are
that
you
was
doing?
yeah, I thought that was
Very dumb.
I mean, it was obvious that they had to take him out of the picture so that she could solve the musical, get the musical piece and that piece
Mhm.
going. But yeah, I just thought it was, kind of like, is that protocol, Mr. Kirk? Like, should
Right,
you walk up to an alien thing and just touch it all of a sudden?
right.
So that was kind of weird, but yeah, I thought that this was a I really love when stories are resolved in one episode. I'm enjoying this for that very simple fact. We are getting the through line of Pike's dealing with his future, but we're learning about the other crew, but at the end of the day, like it's just episodic and we
Right.
just
It's
move
not this
on.
big mystery you have to wait 9 episodes to solve.
Right, exactly. So
Yes.
in that sense, it is it's good to have this change of pace and
It's
just
very
enjoy.
refreshing.
Yes, it is. So I enjoyed it. I thought that Ortegas, I don't know.
Well, so
Did you
I
have
was going to ask you,
yeah,
because we're
yeah.
trying to structure these conversations a little differently, like if you had kind of a favorite character or character moment, like it can be the central character of the episode, which is Uhura in this case. But if you had anything notable that you want to mention when it comes to a character that really stood out to you.
Yeah, I mean, I did love learning more, like I said, about Uhura. But I really enjoy the dynamic of Ortegas and just how she interacts with Pike and with the crew and with everyone. She's just her one-liners are great. Like last episode it was, why does this always happen when I'm in command?
Yeah.
With the whole beaming the serum into Spock's eye.
Yes, yeah, and in the native loose on the ship,
Yes, and then yes,
the
exactly.
Riley 279 native, whatever they
Yeah,
call themselves.
at least on the ship. This week it's like, oh, that went well, and like then the ship gets blasted by the alien. So I just really like, she brings like this levity, but also like, yeah, she's different than Detmer or Rios in the fact that like how they pilot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she just she I don't know, every time she's on screen, every time she says something, I just laugh. I enjoy it. Like, she's spunky and I'm all in for it. But I do really think that this was a great Uhura storyline, just to talk a little bit about her past, to talk about her lack of certainty about being in Starfleet as well. So those were the two highlights for me. Although, no, sorry, I have a third highlight.
Okay, say something for me, by the way, but keep on going.
All right, I'll hold this one. The other thing are the bookend conversations. Well, the three conversations with Spock. But go ahead.
Oh, okay.
What
Well,
did you...
so I was gonna say Spock. So thank you very much.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go.
Yes,
cool.
I agree with you. And just to talk a little bit more about Ahura for a second, so as you know, as I've talked about on this podcast, I have not watched that much of TOS.
Right.
I haven't. I did watch Charlie X because that was like literally like the second episode or something or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And Nichelle Nichols is very talented. She's especially like her character, like given like what she had to work with in her character, I think she did the most that she could. And she's a very talented actress, and she can sing, right? And she's very talented. But honestly, the scene in Charlie X where she's just kind of singing in like the mess hall, I'm like, what is going on? It was just like it's kind of a little awkward, and I'm like, eh. And those moments, those like singing moments aren't really like for me. Like, I'm not really into them. So I think that they did a good job of kind of taking that and putting it into this world. Her Uhura's like singing and musical ability and talent, and kind of weaving it into the plot a little bit, so that there is like a little bit of payoff, and it's not like too awkward. I appreciated that. It's not like too in your face of a throwback, but still kind of highlighting something that we do know about Uhura. So I did like that. And yes, Spock has a number of good moments. I think that they definitely gave him a lot to do in this episode as well. Definitely those moments between Uhura and Spock trying to give Uhura a pep talk. That was really funny. Him kind of just, him being very honest and being very, very Spock. And I like the way that it also, yes, the conversations that he had with Uhura, kind of how they bookend the episode, where his first assessment is like, well, it's great that basically he was like, it's great that you're here, but if you don't want to be here, then you should make way for people that actually want to be here. But then it ends with, you deserve to be here, and Starfleet would be better off to have you here, no matter what you decide. So I did like the evolution of that relationship, and yeah, no, that was definitely a good those were good moments, and that was, I would say, like a character highlight for me.
And I appreciate the scene on the Comet where he's sort of giving her a pep talk, and she like questions it. It's like, that's your pep talk.
Pep talk, right?
And then he does have a version 2 of that a little bit later, 2.0. I think, in the episode. Mm-hmm. So he does get better, which I think is a great development in that. And the fact that, I like the fact that the cadet feels comfortable or is able to, because of the environment of the Enterprise created by Pike, to speak up and speak up and say what's on her mind, rather than being like demure and like watching rank and that sort of thing, and not feeling comfortable saying things. So I like that it's okay to give voice to your thoughts when you're in disagreement with someone, or to challenge them a little bit, or in a respectful but positive, like just speaking your mind way. So I thought that was really, really nice to see that a cadet felt like she could speak up to a lieutenant, to her commanding officer on the mission per se, and tell him exactly how she's feeling and what she needs or doesn't need, so I thought it was really good.
Yeah. And then what was your favorite moment or moments in this episode? Did anything in particular that we didn't talk about already stand out to you? Anything that
the evasive maneuvers that Ortegas does, I think, is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, the action in this episode was good. Like, they did a good job kind of choreographing everything that was happening.
Yeah. I think that in that moment where she says, "Oh, that went well," sarcastically to Pike. Again, that whole thing where it's interesting that this crew is much more familiar with each other than, I would say, what we're used to. I would say that.
Yeah, I think everyone is very comfortable in their roles. It just feels very. And I don't know how much time the crew, like the cast, got to really spend kind of, just warming
bonding,
up and bonding before they started filming. But I feel that they have a very natural kind of chemistry that you can see on screen. Yes. And I would say each of them kind of really is unique and different. And they all have they all feel very fleshed out, and they all feel very lived in, and the cast members are playing them. It's playing into those character elements really well.
Yeah, I think, and it's super refreshing. It's great to have this. I think, gosh, we've got more of this in 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds than we've gotten in 4 seasons of Discovery.
I know.
And
our complaints.
Yeah, and that is a complaint. That is a strong complaint. Like, how, so yeah. Please develop, do this on Discovery. Do something on Discovery.
I think the problem is that, and I think that at the end of the day, even though this episode was a little bit more, I would say, problem of the week driven than the last episode. Pilot episode, I think, was very, very character driven with Pike. It was really centered on his dilemma and the whole thing
and First Contact
but even that kind of played, that was almost secondary to his struggle, right? Like at the end of the day, it went back to him as a captain, and how he and his experience ultimately was the solve for the situation on the planet. I think in this episode there was a little more of the Comet and like obviously the situation with the shepherds, but it was still very character driven in the sense of it gives Ahura and the people around her so much to breathe in terms of, and also like it doesn't feel out of place. Like these conversations are happening, don't feel forced. They don't feel like, like completely out of left field. They feel much more organic in the ways that they're happening and they're pertinent to the context, I think the thing with something like Discovery is that it's so plot driven. It's very like narratively driven, that it's very mystery or like disaster or like the universe is ending kind of driven, that sometimes that overshadows the character moments, and then they try to insert these character moments, and it's like it's not, the character moments are sometimes secondary to like the disaster that's looming, so sadly, I think that's why it's working. It's like they're giving the characters just a lot of opportunities to organically interact and play off each other. And I think that's working really well.
Yep, I agree. Any standout moments for you?
Yeah, I actually really liked the resolution with the shepherds and the comet, and the whole thing where they were able to kind of make peace a little bit, and the shepherd captain was like, yeah, like maybe next time you won't be so quick to judge the faith of others, because obviously Pike immediately when they're talking, Pike was like, they're zealots, like that was his immediate assessment. And I think that this was a good experience for him, because it ultimately, then we got the assessment from Uhura, where she was like, oh yeah, the comet kind of like, knew what was going to happen. And in some ways it knew its fate. And it was interesting because that ultimately kind of just plays into like what we were talking about, like Pike's whole struggle with his fate and where fate is going to take him, and the idea that it's predestined. It's, I don't think it gives like a really like solid answer. Like there's no like one answer to this, to this problem. But I think I kind of like that. It's kind of like leaving things kind of open-ended, and kind of saying there's more things about this universe that we don't understand. And that's okay. And it's okay to not understand it and to embrace it. And you don't know you don't know what the journey is going to be like. And you don't want to judge something too quickly, and I kind of like the open-ended lesson that we're kind of given at the end of the episode, and where that kind of leaves us with kind of Pike's overall dilemma. So I really did like that. And yeah.
Great. Yeah. I think that was, that's good. Cool.
Anything else about this episode that stood out to you? Anything notable? We didn't really argue much, so I feel that it went by really quickly, this conversation.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the new normal for Strange New Worlds, it would appear. No, it's another good episode. I like what we're seeing, and I hope it continues. But no, that's pretty much all I have on Strange New Worlds. On this episode of Strange New Worlds.
And Chief Kyle got a couple moments.
Oh yes. Look at you bringing up something that you didn't want you tease me about. Yeah.
So wait. So are people like talking about this guy? Like I
mean, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
I'm not keeping up with that particular discourse, so
I am not either, to be honest. So I thought that was interesting that Bill knew about that or told us about that. So yeah.
Wait, how did Bill refer to him?
Twinks Porter Chief Kyle.
Twinks Porter Chief.
Yes.
Twinks Porter Chief. Oh, I was like, oh my god, he is a twink. It's so true. That's
great though. I think that's awesome.
I'm like, Chief Kyle needs a sandwich. Someone needs to give him a sandwich. He's so skinny. I feel that he's going to get blown away by gusts of wind.
Well, fortunately, there's no wind in space, so he's all set.
He's all set. He's fine.
If he can wear a good pair of magnetic boots and be fine. Yeah, no, it's I like, he's a cutie. What can I say? He's a cutie, and yeah, more Chief Kyle, please.
So funny. I did not realize that apparently there is conversation around Chief Kyle. So.
Yeah.
So you're not alone.
There we go. I'm glad to hear that, and I hope that we do get to see more of Chief Kyle. And it's great to see. I mean, that's another key position in the ship that is,
Miles O'Brien's position is like he's just hanging out in the transporter room all day.
Well, his early days of Next Generation before he became lead ops and Deep Space Nine, right?
Well, remember he didn't in season 1. He was at the helm, right? He was at ops or at the helm, and then
he was at ops in the battle bridge
onwards. Okay, I don't remember.
He was in the he was in the he was in the pilot. He was in Encounter at Farpoint as the ops officer on the battle bridge, and then he moves to transporter duty later on.
And he stays there for like 6 seasons or 5 seasons. I remember.
Yeah, something like that, and then he becomes chief of operations on Deep Space Nine.
Thank God they give him more to do, because honestly, imagine just standing there in the transporter room all day. It's like
I mean,
unless there's a transporter emergency.
Right? Yes, exactly. Like, okay. Well, it needs to be manned at all times in case there is a transporter emergency.
Yeah, I guess
right?
So. Yeah, just like standing there.
Yeah. So unless they're at warp, right? It's not really necessary to have someone in transporter control.
But we have transported at warp before, so
yes,
it's inconsistent.
Yes.
In any case, all right. Well, I think that does it for Children of the Comet, episode 2. Excited for what's to come. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about our sponsor?
Yeah, Fansets is the premier sponsor of the Trek Geeks podcast network and Deep Space Pride. And they have some great, by the time this episode is released, they're gonna have a new Delta's Done Right pin out, and that is the Future Imperfect TNG Delta. So that's the
Starfleet
Delta.
So specific.
Yeah, no, the one where we first see the Delta with the bars of your
future.
Yeah,
or he thinks he's in the future.
Yes. So it's the captain's version, so it's got the four bars for captain, which I thought was really ingenious. So that's coming out tomorrow, Sunday, May 15th. So by the time you listen to this, that'll be out there. And then on May 1st, they released the motion picture Delta for that Admiral Kirk was wearing in the motion picture. So, and they also showed preview, like a art preview image of some future Deltas. So the Deltas Done Right collection is really one of the premier collections from Fansets, as well as the micro crew pins. I mean, I love the new Master Ships collection. I love my Enterprise A.
Are they coming out with any more of those? Do you know?
Yes, but I don't think they've announced them yet. So this was part of a new collection, but they haven't said what's next after the Enterprise A. So we'll see. They perhaps wanted to see how this one does before
it's a lot of pin. It's a big pin. It's not even a pin. It's like a.
It's not even a pin really. It's a metal.
It's a magnet / standee kind of thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous, and so head on over to fansets.com. Put a bunch of pins in your cart. if you put in the code word Trek Geeks, all one word, you're going to get 10% off your order. And if you're spending more than $30, you're going to get free shipping in the US. So go check them out. And we want to thank Fansets for being the exclusive sponsor of Deep Space Pride and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network.
Thanks, Fansets. All right. So we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your thoughts on Chief Kyle and if you think he's cute or not. I don't think he's not cute. He's just not my type, but I can see why.
He's not your type.
He's not my type, yes. But I can see why people would be into Chief Kyle. With that being said, we will love to hear from you about Chief Kyle or anything else for that matter. So you can email us at dspacepride@gmail.com. And you can also reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at dspacepride. And if you like this podcast, we would love for you to leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Cool. That's
Excellent.
it.
There we go. Wow.
That was a quick one. That was less than an hour, which is kind of weird and kind of
for
odd.
us. Well, we've only had one episode to talk about, and
but usually when we talk even about one episode, it goes on for a while. So
yeah, we're trying to tighten up things here, try some new things, see what kind of sticks, what doesn't, have a little fun with it. So yeah, let us know. And
this is completely random. I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning because we haven't been doing like What Have You Star Trek this week for a while. But I have been listening to Garrett Wang and Robert Duncan McNeil's podcast, The Delta Flyers.
Oh,
probably heard of it, right? Like,
yes, I definitely heard of it.
I've heard of it, and I have never listened to it. And they're like 4 or 5 seasons in, and I just started listening to it. It's actually really good. They have really good banter. They definitely give a lot of insight into the production of the episode, and then there's all this stuff they're like, we don't remember anything because it's been like 25 years, and I don't remember what happened last week, let alone happened like 25 years ago. So kudos to them for occasionally having like these nuggets to talk about. But because sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this shot, I remember, oh yeah, we had like it took all day to like get ready, like, and it's actually really good. So I do recommend for those Voyager fans out there. I don't think Mike, you or I are huge Voyager fans. I think we appreciate Voyager, and Voyager has its moments. And definitely it, from a lore perspective, it's huge. Give us 7, like a lot more about the Borg. Like there's a lot. And without Voyager, there'll be no Prodigy. Like there's a lot that Voyager has given.
There's a lot, yeah. It's an important part of the Star Trek history. It's everyone has their favorite show, right, or captain, or both. So yeah,
but no, this has given me a newfound appreciation for some of these Voyager episodes, because I don't know if you recall, Mike, I did a Voyager rewatch. It was like at this point probably a year and a half ago. I went through every single.
It was
Voyager
during
episode.
The dark times.
It was
COVID,
like during
lockdown.
During the more intense COVID lockdowns. I skipped a few episodes here and there, but for the most part, I watched every single episode. And
I want to say I watched some as well, but I can't remember. So
yeah, I recall you rewatched. I don't know if you rewatched all of it, but
no, I think I jumped around quite a bit. Yeah.
But this has definitely given me a newfound appreciation of Voyager, and they are actually also, they rate each episode, and they're actually pretty harsh, which is, it's kind of funny. They're they're like, yeah, this is trash. Like, there's
that
episode did not come together, didn't work. They're very honest, which I also appreciate. So that's
great. Wow.
Most of the episodes they give like out of 10 like a 6. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
So
they are they're tough.
They're tough actually.
That's great.
So
good for them.
Anyway, I do recommend for those of you that are looking for a bit more a deep dive into Voyager.
Yeah.
Cool. Anyway. Cool. All right, that does it for this episode. I don't remember the name of the next episode, but
I
That's
don't.
what we will be
either.
talking about next week.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the third episode. Oh, something Illyria. So,
Fantastic.
yes, something Illyria. But
You're
anyway,
prepared. All right.
well, we're not prepared for this, but yes. Anyway,
All right.
yeah. Thanks
Cool.
everyone for listening, and we'll catch you back here next week.
Bye, everyone.
Deep Space Pride is a production of Coconut Media Works. Executive producers Bill Smith and Dan Davidson. For more great Star Trek discussion, discover the other shows of the Trek Geeks Podcast Network at trekgeeks.com or find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app.
Coconut.